Housing Development Program, your usual encyclopedia on housing matters.
When the democracy was happening in Nigeria in 1999, Obasanjo at that time and the PDP were all talking about housing. And what is life about actually at the end of the day? It's about having a roof over your head, right? Yeah. That's what life is all about. So we thought about a product that we could bring to Nigeria with all the challenges that Nigeria or Africa has. What are those challenges? Difficulty of movement, difficulty of acquiring equipment, the cost of the equipment, and that is the reason why the heat that we have in Nigeria, the tropical rains and storms that we have here as well. And we decided, after going through a whole feasibility of what was most useful here and what would also be acceptable to the poorest man around the corner or the richest man in the neighborhood, we homed in on this product. And honestly, for this environment, I can honestly say to you, I don't think there's anything better than this kind of material for this environment today. You don't need any science, any heavy equipment. You don't need to be a big construction company with high-up trucks and all the kinds of equipment that you need to be able to use it. And really, today, it's all about engaging people, engaging youth, making them work. All these problems that we're having in the Northeast now, what is it about? Go there. Those guys don't do anything. The schools are horrible. The buildings are horrible that they live in. And this is what it's all about. Quality of life and quality of the information that have been fed to these people. That's what it's about. And that's what we came here to try to do. To build quality housing for people. There's a real labor problem in Nigeria. There are so many unemployed youth in Nigeria. If we can bring a system that is more simple, that doesn't need too much expertise to be able to put up, at least it will also help with the labor problem in Nigeria. So, the beauty of this wire that you are seeing, it looks so small and flimsy. You probably wouldn't think about it twice. But this wire is galvanized wire. It is it's got a very, very strong compressive strength. It's very, very, very strong. So as opposed to what you see traditionally here, where if somebody is building a house, they will build one pillar there, and they will build another pillar here. Then they will put block in the middle. What is the block doing? The block is just a cladding. It's not carrying anything. Do you understand? So all they really need is just the pillars on the two sides. What we've done is, instead of doing that, we have this panel where normally your block has nothing in the middle, right? It's hollow in the middle. We have this panel with all this wire and this polystyrene in the middle for the insulation, which acts as a formwork to receive concrete that you are going to spray on it. And what you get is a building where the walls of the building are load bearing. That means that every wall that you see, that with the amount of iron that is inside, it can carry the weight of another floor of a building from the wall itself. Of course, you must marry the iron with the cement. Otherwise, it is useless. And you must spray the cement to a particular mix to make sure that it's strong, because you cannot play now. It is the wall that is holding up the building. But it really does create a situation where you are not wasting time. 3 or 4 people can put up a simple unit of housing. We're just about to put up a 2-bedroom house here. So we're going to try and invite you guys to come maybe every 2 days. It shouldn't take us more than 5 days. I mean, okay, the holiday is there, so maybe the weekend is there, so maybe it'll take us 7 days, and the house will be finished with a cast roof, and it's going to be done on a very, very, very simple foundation, because the panel is very, very light. So maybe the best thing is, instead of me talking about it too much, we'll invite you guys again to come so you can see it live by yourself. You enter the house by yourself so you can see what we are talking about. When we go to trade fairs in Nigeria, sometimes they think that we are doing 419. They will say this fuke, they call it fuke Yoruba, that is like a spongy material. How can you use it to build a house? But don't focus on the polystyrene. The polystyrene is creating insulation, heat and sound. It is the iron and the cement that is doing all the work for the housing. Right now we're employing around 150 people in this place, depending on if we get extra building sites to build. That could be quadrupled. We can create an army of builders in Nigeria so that all these young guys are all working, especially now that everybody is talking about low-cost housing. They are talking about IDPs, they are talking about resettlement camps. These are places where we can assist. Now, it's not that we are a construction company, but of course we can sit down and transfer knowledge to construction companies so that these kinds of housings can be done fast. Thereafter, the buildings are now tried and tested. They look exactly like traditional building if you want to even marry it with blockwork. Like for instance, that wall you're looking at there is a panel wall, but you would never know that it's a panel wall, so it's not precast in a sense. After that, we thought, okay, how do we improve on the product so that it's not just a simple housing unit? We invested in extra machinery. We now produce what you guys call POP, but it is produced out of polystyrene. It is 1/3 the price of the POP. So all the people now who are builders around Nigeria, we assist them in making the houses cheaper, more affordable, and the delivery faster. We also produce window detailing and non-structural architectural detailing for the building. And believe it or not, the back of this is the same foke as they call it, it's polystyrene, but with a very, 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 very hard coat that feels like concrete when you put it on the building. And the beauty of it is that the formula that we have devised here is such that, look, even if I bend, it does not crack. So even in transportation, in delivery, in cutting, or whatever it is that you're doing, this system just works. And believe me, nobody's gonna come and give you this formula. We have to sit down and sweat and think about it. And you know what you find? That when you have industrialization, Nigerians are so quick. Before you can blink, we are sitting down getting new solutions to all the problems that we need. Disadvantage. Unfortunately, when we were doing our feasibility study, we were supposed to be buying the polystyrene bead, which is our raw material, which I think you saw in the plant, from LMA Petrochemical in River State. But again, they are still not producing this material that is sought after all over the world. We have to go and start importing it from Taiwan, which is a real problem for us with all.
What do you call it?
The polystyrene bead. It's called the polystyrene bead, the EPS bead. And the other problem is this wire, which we were supposed to be buying from Ajaokuta. But again, we have to go and import the wire from abroad. So these are the kinds of challenges that we as manufacturers, as industrialists in Nigeria face. I'm sure you heard all the noise when you were going to that kit house there with the generator running and the diesel burning, and then today there's scarcity, tomorrow there's no scarcity, today there's FX, tomorrow there's no FX. These are the kinds of issues that affect us in Nigeria. Otherwise, if the government really understood what we are trying to do and what Nigerians are trying to do here, we would be able to proceed very, very fast. When we tell people that we import this raw material from abroad, they're like, why? You people produce petrol. It's almost as if we're stupid. How can you be producing petrol and then you are importing the byproduct of the petrochemical industry from another place? But I told them that, even refined petrol, we import it. If I can give you an analogy, importing refined petrol is like having a mango tree and plucking the mango, and then exporting the mango, and then somebody will squeeze the mango into a carton, and then we will re-import that juice inside the carton, and then the government will subsidize it for us so that me and you can drink mango juice. That's how ridiculous the whole situation is. But if the government doesn't understand that the railways are very, very important, or that when you open up a new city like Abuja, you must give light to the industrial area first. Not because you want to be wicked to the residential area, but because the industrial area is even going to give work to the people in the residential area. And then those people will be able to pay for those services as well. We have no light in this place. We have no water in this place. Everything we have to do by ourselves. So we drill our own borehole, we produce our own power. These things increase costs, and then we cannot compete against China or whoever because they have the advantage of the economies of scale where they are just producing and they are selling. We start, stop. We don't even have railway. When we buy the raw material, I think one container is it 11 tons? A 20-foot container is 11 tons.
11 tons, sir.
So imagine we have to take it by road. Do you know it costs us more money to bring our container by road from Lagos to Abuja than it costs us to ship the container from Taiwan to Lagos? So those are the kind of problems that we have. So when people come and say it's too cheap, make it cheaper, do this, do that, it is impossible. But the government has a responsibility that if somebody has come and invested here and put money down here, they should come and buy from that person to assist the person to make it cheaper for the country. Initially, it cannot be because of that initial investment and the cost of borrowing that you have in this place. Okay? So, from the cornices, we went to the windowsills. From the windowsills, we went to all kinds of decorations. I think you went into the artist section as well. Now we do 3D advertising. We are the first company in Nigeria to do 3D advertising. Nobody can do actual 3D advertising. It is light. It doesn't weigh anything. We can do any shape or size that the customers want. We don't have as much awareness as we want to have, but we're working on it, and that's the reason why you guys are here today. And then finally, we've jumped into the packaging industry. Very, very difficult. Why? Because, for instance, I'll give you this simple product. This is a seedling tray. A seedling tray is used by a farmer. He goes and buys seeds. Instead of throwing it in the ground, where rain can come and wash half away, birds can come and peck half away, and some just die because there's a stone under or whatever it is. With a seedling tray, you get 100% output from this tray. If you have a greenhouse, for instance, you don't even have to have massive land. You can stack it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 like that along the place. So even a small scale farmer will now be able to produce enough yield for him to be able to make profits. Otherwise, there's no point in him trying to get involved in the agriculture. So we've gone and invested now in machinery to be able to produce this seedling tray. Now the problem was when we were going to start, do we buy the seedling tray for tomato or for ginger or for pepper or for onion? There is no data to tell you which one to get. So we've more or less sort of waited until customers have been popping in and telling us what they want before we've concluded that, okay, we're going to do this particular one. Let's say now all of you are farmers here and you are in Maiduguri and I'm in Abuja, and this material I can produce, let us say for the sake of argument, 10 every 60 seconds. I can produce 10 and it's bulky. I have nowhere to keep it. But how do I get to you? If you come and say, Hamza, I want 10, he comes and says, I want 70. This guy comes and says, I want 1,000. How do I link all of you together? How do I make it cost effective? You don't know him, he doesn't know you. How do I join the material to send it to, let us say, Birnin-Kebbi? There is no center where I can now say I'm sending a truckload of this material to make it cost effective, cheap enough for those farmers to be able to go to one place to go and buy and deliver it to that spot. So those are the kind of challenges that we are dealing with right now. But we've gone to the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, we've gone to the Ministry of Agriculture, we're trying to tell them what our problems are. That's why we've come to the press too, to kind of say, look, these are the kinds of problems that we have. That value chain, how do we link up so that we can reduce the cost? What can government do to even assist the people who ultimately will use this material that they are saying they need to be able to use to be able to boost this agriculture that we're talking about? Fish. If you notice when you're on the street, you see them that they only sell live fish. Why? Because they cannot freeze the fish. And if they froze the fish, they haven't got any insulating chamber to keep frozen fish. All over the world, people use frozen fish. So we start importing frozen fish and using frozen fish, and we don't allow the people who are producing fish here to be able to jump into business. So we're again trying to do the fish boxes. The same thing for medical boxes, for carrying vaccines, for carrying blood, for carrying all kinds of medical equipment, whether it is in the test tubes or whatever it is. These are things that we can produce. And even if you decide that you're going to produce this telephone, or you're going to produce air conditioners in Nigeria, we can produce the packaging for it. The polystyrene is particularly good because it absorbs shock very well and it insulates the material as well. So that's what we're progressing into. But where everywhere else in the world, I think there's a flask we just did for one customer in Lagos. Have you shown that to them? So that's a win-win situation that we've done with the poor man. But honestly, his transportation costs to get his flask down to Lagos increases his cost of sale. If to say we had rolling stock to just throw it inside a train in Abuja, then he picks it up in Lagos, it will be much, much cheaper for him to be able to receive. So, everywhere else in the world that we go to, the mainstay of a business like this is the person that is producing AC or fridge or cooker or computers or something. That's just the mainstay of his business. He's not even worrying. Everything else is now an extra bonus. We have to be creative and be thinking of how we are going to manage our various customers here. So those are the kinds of challenges that we have. And in a nutshell, That is where we are. We are also trying to go into now the packaging for food trays, for raw meat, for raw chicken, so that it's all kept properly according to Nigerian standards. The boxes for eggs, so that the local farmer too can sell his egg to ShopRite, because now he's excluded from that market. It's only the big boys that can participate in that kind of market. So we want to try and get to the grassroots and help the guys in the grassroots to be able to be part of this Project Nigeria that we're talking about.
Are you ready, Nigeria, for the largest home expo in West Africa, the 10th Abuja Housing Show?
Coming through from the 18th to 20th July 2016.
At the International Conference Center, Abuja, Nigeria, the show will feature a stakeholders conference on financing affordable housing, presentation and exhibition of new building technology, mortgage services and other housing products. This event is powered by FESADEP Communications, owners of Housing Program on AIT, NTA and Housing Time on Raypower. For bookings, inquiries and advert placement, call 0816-657-0090 or 0806-458-9303.
Abuja Housing Show, the largest home construction industry exhibition in West Africa.